my sexy compatriots, this is the cup of coffee you all know and love, Minty Coffee, and I am back with another casual commentary. The topic of today's video, as the title suggests, the CritaCola and the Darwins Shield, two of the most infamously despised and hated weapons in the game. Through the slew of changes to both, it just seems like Valve has no idea how to fix either the Cola or the DDS, especially with the awful changes in the coming update. How do I think they could be saved? Well, let's go right over them individually. The CritaCola is a particularly condemnable can of carbonated cancer capable of granting the scout free mini-crits for 8 seconds after a consumption time of 1.2 seconds. During this, the scout is also granted 25% faster movement speed while taking 10% more damage, then being marked for death 2 seconds after the buff expires. Now, to give a bit of insight into why the CritaCola is so hated, remember, it grants the scout free mini-crits for a massive 8 seconds. Mini-crits are a massive 35% damage increase. Now what's the max damage of a stock scattergun that can be pulled off at max range? Well, that's 105, at the maximum damage ramp up of 175%. 105 increased by 35% is 141.75, rounded up to 142 damage. On top of the fact that mini-crits ignore damage fall off, this means at mid to close range you will almost always be one-hitting whatever scout, NG, sniper or spy you're up against, as well as a much easier time two-hitting a medic, being why this is banned in competitive in the first place. So, how did they try to fix this? With the proposed changes, you will lose the speed buff and be marked for death after your first shot in this state. Ignoring that after the first shot the scout has already crippled your medic, he will kill him immediately afterwards, killing your team's uber advantage. All from a free drink. What Valve doesn't seem to get is that the way to nerf this weapon has never been to make the scout easier to kill, because it's the raw damage you get for free that has been the problem. And to me, there's literally only two ways to fix this weapon outside of redesigning it entirely. The first is to decrease the damage into something less overpowered, like 15% or 20% for example, not 35%, while making the scout take critical damage while active, not mini-crit damage, because this is simply unorthodox as a weapon that gives free mini-crits. The other way to fix it, flat out remove it entirely. To be honest, I teeter more to removing it because as a weapon concept, the CritaCola is awful. A class like the Scout should not be getting free mini-crits. Why do you think they changed the old soda popper? However, I do have a proposed redesign to try and make it usable without needing to be removed from the game. Simply put, we are going to change the CritaCola from a crit granting weapon to a speed granting weapon. Instead of giving 35% more damage, we'll give the scout a speed buff equal to the babyface's blaster's max speed for the 8 second duration, while making the scout deal less damage and take more damage during the state. Finally, double jumps will cancel the effect altogether regardless of how much of it has been used. This will look as follows. The CritaCola. While under the effect, plus 40% increased movement speed, plus 10% damage penalty, marked for death while active, and air jumps disable the effect. What this effectively does is turn the CritaCola into an activatable babyface's blaster, with far more risk behind it, as well as only lasting 8 seconds as opposed to all the time you have a full boost. This would give the CritaCola a defined use as more dangerous mobility item compared to the likes of the Bonk, while also killing the complaints towards its awful mechanic and preventing the need for it to just be removed. Of course, it would also warrant a redesign, which I'd call the Caffeine Crunch. Now, we have another weapon to discuss. The Darwins Shield. This poor thing has always been hated by sniper mains who favour skill over insurance, as this is literally what this item is, an insurance item against quickscopers with good aim if you have poor reaction time. It's a cheap crutch and the definition of an unfair gimmick, as it forces your opponent to be punished and have to equip it simply because they are good at playing sniper. How did Valve want to change this? Well, now they've given snipers who wear it 50% resistance to all fire damage and afterburn immunity. So instead of fix this weapon to be a viable defensive weapon alongside the Cozy Camper and Crazyback, you just make it anti-pyro instead of anti-sniper. Well, at least the snipers will be happy. But seriously, what were they thinking? Look, I'm all glad and happy that the counter quickscope aspect is gone, but now it's a crutch against the weakest class in the game. For God's sake, it cuts the flamethrower's 163.5 DPS down to a measly 81.75, on top of having afterburn immunity. Apparently this was mainly to counter flare gun pyros, Well, if you're having a problem with flares being thrown at you, do the sensible thing and move away. This is just another example of a weapon that unfairly punishes another class because players don't want to improve their situational awareness. And frankly, I don't have a way to fix the danger shield. I just don't, because as is, Sniper is already the most powerful class when kept at long range. So yeah, this new change, awful. And I don't see how the danger shield can even be fixed in the awful state it's in. They are both weapons that show that Valve doesn't really know how to fix the most OP of broken weapons. What did you think of the discussion in this video and the proposed CritaCola redesign? Like it? Dislike it? Think there should be changes? Let me know what you think in the comments below. This has been your favourite cup of minty coffee, and I shall see you next time, my sexy compatriots. Bye!
I am the man who arranges the blocks that continue to fall from up above. The food on your plate now belongs to the state.